Okay guys, I'm super excited today to be able to show you the Object First walkthrough. And so with V12 on the horizon, we're just a few days away from the official release of Veeam Backup and Replication V12, what I feel is the most important release that Veeam's ever put out. We're also aligning that with the expected and anticipated launch for Object First, the brand new object storage platform that is designed specifically to be integrated with Veeam. And so what I want to show you today is just a simple walkthrough of how easy this installation is going to be for all of you that are looking to venture into object storage. Veeam is certainly advancing that opportunity with the ability to perform backups direct to object storage in this brand new release. And I think that what you'll see here is that while in order for us to be able to achieve low financial TCO and immutability, right? It's been difficult to do that. And, there's a great hard Linux repository option, but you really have to have kind of a Linux admin perspective or hat or level of experience in order to be able to set that up. And the nice thing about Object First is that immutability is essentially enabled right out of the box. It's not anything that you have to worry about configuring. It's already kind of natively into the platform. So with that, let me just kind of set the stage here for you real quick. What we'll want to do here is I'm just going to show you I've got Veeam Backup and Replication version 12 already installed. Didn't really want to go through that here today, but really just let you know that what we're going to do is we're going to do this initial setup over on the Object First side, real simple. Let's just call it 5 minutes or less. And then all the work that we'll do will actually be over here in the Veeam Backup and Replication UI. So the first thing that we'll do is that when we watch the machine boot up, so it's a customer installable unit. We've put that in the rack, powered that on. You saw that a little earlier in the video as we were just kind of stepping through what that looks like in the data center. We power that machine on and we're looking for its out-of-band management interface. In my case, I have DHCP running. It got a DHCP address of 10.100.1.100. And when I open that up in my web browser, I'm presented with the Supermicro login credentials here. Now there is a little pullout tag, and that little pullout tag there in the front of the chassis will actually tell you what your login credentials are. The default username is going to be admin in all caps, and then you're going to have that special unique credential to be able to authenticate to your specific box. And so as we log in here, one of the first things that I want to point your attention to is that we can see down here from a power control perspective that the unit is currently powered on. It's going to attempt to give us a snapshot or a thumbnail of what the current console looks like for this machine. And then what we're going to do is we're going to jump up here to our remote console and we're going to actually begin the setup of the cluster. Now, one just food for thought for you. If you notice here that this says that the current interface is Java plugin, we do want to change that to HTML5. And we'll do that by simply clicking right here on the actual hyperlink word here. And when we click on this, it's going to give us the ability to change that to HTML5. We'll simply click on Save. And now when we want to launch our console, it will actually open up in our HTML5 browser. So I'm here, we can see that it's running Ubuntu 20.04.4 LTS, and we're going to log in with our credentials. And when we log in with our credentials, those credentials are going to be part of the documentation that you receive when you actually purchase the Object First unit and are ready to set that up for the first time. What we'll see is a very simple set of directions here that's going to really kind of step us right down through the configuration of this box. First thing that we'll want to do here is we'll want to set up the cluster. This machine does have multiple interfaces. So the first thing that you'll see here is that this is referring to interface EN01. And do we want to configure this interface? Yes, we do. We're going to just kind of leave it as the defaults here. It is attempting to DHCP. The next thing we can do is if we wanted to change any of these, we could simply just type over these these values. And then when that's done, we can click next. We can see down here that this interface has changed to EN02. Again, default information in here. Again, change that should you choose to. We're going to give it a host name. I'm just going to pick something simple like Object First Appliance 01, OF App 01, and I'm going to press enter. Going to give it a moment just to update the network settings on this machine. Why I recommend doing this through the IPMI interface is because if you're going to give it a different set of credentials than maybe you were using from a DHCP perspective, then there's a possibility in doing this that you could, in fact, lose network connectivity. So our initial configuration, we'll simply do that through the out-of-band Supermicro IPMI interface. And here's what we're noticing. As we've configured the network, the next thing that it's going to do is it's going to reach out and look and see whether or not there are any cluster and appliance updates for this machine. So we'll give it a moment here for it to go out and check its update. If there was an update available, we would be notified. And then once the update is completed, we can kind of step on through this. So we can give this a cluster name. I'm just going to stick with the object first. I'm going to say that it's going to be cluster 01. We want to give it an IP address. I'm just going to choose 10.101.80, and I'm going to press enter. We want to give it a credential to be able to log in. This is going to be for the UI, and I'm going to just type this in real quick. Now, one quick note, as you can see here, is I've just kind of done this, and we'll probably edit this out. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll put in our credentials here. Once you've typed in your password the first time, go ahead and press your down arrow to get to the next field, and you'll retype in your password and just press enter. We'll give it a couple minutes here for it to configure the cluster. We can see that it's also providing us the endpoint. We'll need that when we actually add this repository into our VBR server. 10.101.80:443, and all is well. At this point, we can press enter. It's going to take us back to the main menu here. We can escape at this point to really get out of that. Just going to make that full screen again. We escape to get out of that, and at this point, we can type exit. Now what we can do is we can come over here to our HTML5 interface, and we can go to our cluster IP, which is going to be 10.108.80, and we'll put :8443 at the end of that, and we'll be prompted here with our ability to log in. You may get this unsigned SSL certificate. That's completely fine. We can go ahead and proceed. You can see here we're now at the object first sign in. So our credentials will be object first from a username, the password that we set earlier. Okay, when we first get to the interface, here's what we're going to notice. Object first is going to give you a little bit of a hint about what to do. The first thing it's going to want you to do is to go create your S3 keys for being able to log in. And then once you've actually done that, we'll come over here and click on S3 key, and we'll click on create key. And this key is just going to be for Veeam. And I'll click on create. Really that simple. It will go generate the set of keys for us. We'll see those pop up. There is an opportunity here to copy this to the clipboard. You could simply click this and it'll tell you that it has been copied. And then we'll click on close. So now we have our initial set of keys. The next thing that we'll do is we'll go create a bucket. When we create our bucket here, we'll simply click down here on create bucket. I'm going to say that this is just going to be our Veeam Backup bucket. You can see here that versioning is enabled by default for all of our, all of us Veeam fans. We know that versioning is a requirement in order to be able to establish immutability on this object first bucket. Additionally, you can see that as I began to type in the name, all of the letters here turned green as a self-check and making sure that you're really kind of meeting the security requirements for the creation of this bucket. When we've done that, we can click on create. And we'll give it just a moment here for it to create this bucket. And then there we go. The bucket has been created. It's called Veeam Backup. Versioning has been enabled. We can indeed click close. Now, our next opportunity here is really to take these credentials and be able to put them in as we're adding this repository into Veeam. And so what we're going to need to know is both the username and the password. In the world of object storage, that's going to be the access key and the secret. So when we go back over here to our S3 keys, notice here you can see that the secret key is masked out with asterisks. But if we need to get this information, we can simply highlight the user, and then we can click on Show Details. It will ask us to log in to make sure that we have the authority to be able to see that information. So type in username and password again, And now we can see that our access key and our secret are both being displayed, both with options to be able to add them to your clipboard. So let's go ahead and now jump over into backup and replication. We're going to go down here to our backup infrastructure area here. We're going to go up to backup repositories, and we're going to add a repository. Now what we're going to do is go all the way down here to the bottom. We're going to select object storage. We're going to select S3 compatible. And it's going to prompt us with the wizard here. And I'm just going to say that I'm adding my object first object storage repository. I do have an option to limit my concurrent tasks. I'm going to click next. And now I'm going to need that service point. And that service point is really going to be the credentials that we established earlier. Remember, it showed us what that access point was. The service point was. Our region will be US East 1. And now we need to go ahead and add these credentials. So we can click on add. It's going to ask us for that access key and secret. My little way to cheat here is simply to jump back over here to the interface, click on this, let it copy, back over here to Veeam, simply paste that straight off the clipboard. We're going to do the same thing one more time here with our secret key. Okay, we've got that. Now I can close this, get back over here into backup and replication, and we're going to paste that. We're going to simply click on OK. The connection mode is going to be direct. We're going to click on next. Give it just a moment here to load. It's going to prompt us on the certificate. That's perfectly fine. We can click on continue. And now we have an opportunity to browse for our bucket. So we'll click on browse. There, in fact, is our Veeam Backup bucket that we created earlier. Now I need to go and establish a folder. I'll just click on new folder down here, and I'm going to say immutable backups. And I'm going to click OK. I can certainly limit the consumption. If I have a quota set up here, I can also choose to make this immutable for a certain amount of time. I'm just going to choose 3 days here for the purposes of this video. And I'm going to go ahead and click on next. Mount server, all this stuff is good. We can leave this as it is. We can click on next. It's going to look for transport vPower NFS mount server components. We're going to go ahead and apply. And we're just going to give Veeam an opportunity here to go ahead and officially add this object storage repository to its list of available backup repos. And then as soon as this finishes, then we'll be able to go create a backup job and just show you how easy this is. So it's almost finished. We can see it popped in here in the back. There is an interesting point here. You can see that it's got the nice blue icon, and it says that it is S3 integrated. And so one of the nice things about Object First, it is the first object storage vendor to be able to take advantage of the new Smart Object Storage API. That is a brand new capability inside of Veeam Backup and Replication that's really going to improve speed, throughput, those types of things when you're writing direct to object. So this has been finished. We can click next now and finally our finish here. And then just jump over to home and create a quick backup job. And I'm just going to select virtual machine. This particular VBR is connected to a vCenter instance. So I'm going to back up a virtual machine. And I'm just going to say that I'm going to do a backup of my Active Directory server AD01. We're going to just add here. This is all very familiar for existing Veeam customers. If you're brand new to Veeam, you can see that everything within Veeam here is really wizard driven. It steps you through the opportunity here to browse your various clusters, to be able to see the different things that are happening. I'm going to select this management AD server just as an example here for today's demonstration. I'm going to click next. My backup repository, I'm going to choose this new Object First repository that we just created. I'm going to choose a retention policy of 4 days, and I'm going to go ahead and click Next. I'm going to choose to do application-aware processing. I am backing up an Active Directory server. I do have credentials that are already in here. And finally, I'm going to click Next. I'm going to run this backup job automatically. I want to run it daily at 10 p.m. to get a good backup of my AD server every night. Finally, I'm going to click Apply. I'm going to run this job, and I'm going to click on Finish. We can see that the backup job has indeed been added back here. It just kicked off. We see it has a running status, and when I click on it here, it's going to go and proceed and give us the job summary information as Veeam kind of proceeds to back this up. So with all that being said, this was just a quick little demo to show you just how easy it is from the initial power on to go and configure your object first object storage, be able to create your S3 keys, go create an object storage bucket that is immutable by default. It has versioning enabled. Be able to add that information over into the Veeam Backup and Replication server, and then be able to go and create a backup job in Veeam Backup and Replication version 12 and begin the direct backup to an immutable object storage repository, local on-premise, very close to your data. So thank you so much. I really hope that this was informative for you. And again, just to show you the thought that Object First has put into the development of their platform, making it as simple as possible for you to be able to consume object storage as a new direct repository for your Veeam Backup and Replication backups, immutable out of the box, no Linux admin responsibility here needed. And thank you for watching.